I broke up with my ex over her Platonic, Cuddling. Announcement. This channel has been demonetized. But there are some good news. I found new source of stories that I haven't seen on YouTube so far. I'll post them on the new channel. Link can be found in the description. If you decide to sub, please watch at least one video for the algorithm. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Story. This is a bit of a little long-winded story, but I need to get my thoughts out because since I found out on January 7th my mood swings from sadness to anger every day. I 29M had been dating my ex 24F for nearly 2 years before things had started getting wonky. She was my best friend and my anchor that kept me grounded through what was definitely a massively difficult year. I had been working a lot and making some higher risk investments that paid off, but the end goal was to get close to a down payment for a house because I was hoping to propose around the 2-year mark this year. In November I noticed she had started getting texts from some guy who I had never heard of before from her gym. I let her know it made me feel off because it's a boundary I have where I do not get girls' phone numbers from my gym because I don't want the temptation when I am monogamous. She tells me she feels weird about my jealousy, but I don't want to let my jealousy ruin what we have since she's always been open with me and my trust hadn't been broken. Thanksgiving comes and goes and it's nice. She was up with my family for a few days, then a few with hers. During this time another guy, who I'll call Jay, starts texting her. Again my alarms are going off, but I don't want to be controlling. In December she's always texting him, and one evening when I'm helping my family, she goes out with her friends from the gym and this guy Jay spends the night at her house, which she tells me about, but says he stays on the couch and he was too drunk to drive. I express concern about wanting to meet her friends following this because I'd want to know who I'm dealing with here. She gives me some BS excuse about how she'll let me know if she goes out the following weekend with her friends because her mom's coming up, but she'll let me know. The evening comes around and she goes MIA and ghosts me for the evening. The next day I'm pissed and we have a huge argument where nothing's resolved, but Christmas is in a week and I'm expected to go. Christmas rolls around and it's nice to spend it with her and her family. Her whole family keeps asking when I'm going to propose and all that, and I do my best to keep a smile and not let them know I'm really struggling with this Jay situation. However, my ex is texting him the whole trip constantly. Following Christmas I really wondered how New Year's will play out, but everyone at Christmas caught COVID but me because I had it previously, so my ex had to quarantine in her apartment through New Year's and I spent it alone. Following New Year's we had planned a weekend together, with a nice Friday evening, and some activities Saturday. However, as suspected, she did not want me to spend Saturday with her as she had to catch up on work and encouraged me to spend it with a friend. I spent Saturday with my buddy and I had a good time. However, in the morning when I'm going to see my ex, she tells me she has food poisoning, and had been throwing up. Frankly, she was hungover and I could see it on her face immediately. I gave her 4 chances over 3 days to confess to me, but one morning when she went to the gym, I snooped through her iPad. She had gone to Jay's house, gotten blackout drunk, and they slept in bed together and cuddled. They were planning another drinking night, and the prior texts were flirty but not explicitly S-timual. I take photos of the texts so I cannot be gaslighted and break up with her later that day. Unfortunately, after many missed calls I talk to her the following day. We have S-time and she makes a point to say they never had S-time and she'd never cheat. For a month we tried to reconcile but she wouldn't give up Jay, even when I expressed I don't think I can get over this incident, so we break up. A month later I receive a handwritten letter about how she always knew I was the one she loved, she never cheated. I was really mean the last month we were trying to work things out. I was upset, so I'll take the blame. and not to let myself think everyone's out to get me. I'm just upset at this point. I don't think she knows I saved her and Jay's texts, but it's like still after the fact I'm being gaslighted. I sent Jay a really awful FU text to let him know I think he's scum, and I've received texts from her family saying they'll miss me and I am always welcome back. I feel like my whole life's been turned upside down through what she claims was platonic cuddling, which is ridiculous, and the fact the letter makes me doubt myself bugs me more. Also, after I told her I couldn't get over the Jay affair and essentially break up, about a week later I make a dating profile and one of her friends sees this, tells her, and then my ex now has some sort of evidence that makes me look like the cheater for her family. I played myself. If you've made it this far in the story, I appreciate it, but I feel crazy. I've never had a relationship implode like this before, and although I'm confident in dating, I feel like I cannot trust anyone. So if any of you can provide any sort of frame for how I can view this and perhaps get a grip on reality, I'd appreciate it. Or let me know I'm crazy and I can move on from there. Redditor's reactions update after. Redditor 1, you don't lie to your partner to go to another guy's house and blackout drunk to cuddle. Although if she was truly blacked out, seems awful convenient to remember it was just cuddling. I've been blackout drunk a few times and don't hardly remember it from the night before. Redditor follow-up, that's kinda what blackout drunk is, you black out, you have no memory of what happened. To many people say I was blackout drunk but I didn't do this, that is totally bullshit. If you black out you have zero memory of what happened. If you remember you were just really trashed. Redditor 2, you are not crazy. You had your trust abused where you last expected it and it hurts. It's natural and will heal over time. You will come to realize she isn't worth the pain and move on. Redditor 3, they didn't just cuddle. Come on man. Redditor 4, she didn't have to have time with him. She was emotionally invested in him, to the point she lied to you about it. In my books, that is cheating. You're not crazy, and breaking up was the best thing for you. Redditor follow-up, I guarantee they've been having time since at least that first sleepover. Update, I miss the feeling of connection since ending it with my ex whom cheated and struggle with needing one. Since being single I've had no problem getting attention from the opposite time, and I try to avoid hooking up as I've always been one to want connection and feeling like I trust someone before proceeding with time. I recognize me wanting intimacy and time is a human need, but in my head I cannot separate those two things without love, and I just remember how miserable navigating dating was prior to my ex who cheated. I've always had a hard time trusting people and can assume the worst in people, but people open up very easily to me, which kind of catches me off guard. I feel people end up liking me very quickly, but once they get to know me they won't love me, which I guess is why when I do fall in love with someone I'm worried they'll run off and find someone else. I miss feeling like someone knew me intimately and still wanted me because it helped me feel anchored and I could navigate life. Does anyone have any advice on how to navigate needs for intimacy if you're not in a good headspace to even be with someone? I feel like when a gal likes me enough for that stuff to happen, it's because they see me as a long-term partner, but I know I'm not going to be someone who can do that for a long while. I just have this hole in my heart I want to fill, but morally I feel leading someone on is harmful and I won't do it. It just seems kind of unfair that my ex gets to jump into her new life with her affair partner and feel the intimacy and get to have time all she wants guilt-free. Even if the advice is to just wait out whatever I'm feeling, or there are no pro tips to get to being open to connection quickly, I could just use some perspective. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, I like gaming, it's a fun hobby. Gets my mind off of stuff when it's too annoying or bothersome to think about. Try it out. Go out with friends, talk to someone about your problems. If you're really then just try to yank it off, works for me. Don't ignore it because it's gonna be a pain, try it like meditation, it's also pretty good. Thinking about something else other than getting a nice piece of ass. Redditor 2, you gotta give yourself the chance to move on and be vulnerable again. It's not easy, but you'll eventually be better off. I definitely can relate to what you mentioned. I get like that too sometimes. Like once people get to know me they won't like me anymore. You gotta be more compassionate towards yourself and work on yourself. When you find someone who you feel safe with and just bond with, it'll be worth it. Wishing you all the best. Redditor 3, unfortunately I'm like you. My love language is touch and I have always felt that I had to love them to make love to them. As a young man I was an athlete and had numerous opportunities with 1, 2, or even 3 women and turned all of them down. I am currently in a very long relationship that lacks physical contact. I thought I was depressed but then realized I was lonely. I see Friday. I will not cheat as I have been cheated on. I'm sorry I can't offer you any advice but know that you're not the only one. Redditor 4, did you ever get the real story? Either way it takes time to process things. Got any female friends that have potential and just want to hang out for a while?